Welcome to this video on Texas Reporting. Start by clicking on the Texas Reporting button. To begin a report, click Report to Task. This takes you to the report wizard, and the first question you're going to get is asking whether the report occurred as expected or not. If you say no, you have the opportunity then to either reschedule the date or explain why it didn't happen. We're going to say yes, and we're offered different methods of reporting. We're going to cover the different types of reports, starting with social media. Social media is a text-only report allowing you to detail what you did in your social media. Mass media. Select this option if your content with the public was via a form of mass media, such as television, radio, or newspaper. This report allows you to track the type, the outlet, the length, and the total contacts reached, along with notes that allow you to give more detail. Use the newsletter option if you distributed an educational newsletter either via mail or electronically. We are going to choose Group 1-to-1. Notice the report title comes from the task report title, and we can change that. We can also change the report date in case the event didn't occur on the date that we had thought. Say Next. And now we're going to enter our session data. Notice the Next button moves us to the next section that we can navigate through using the buttons on the left as well. Let's enter our session data, which is the who, what, when, and where of our event. Again, the title defaults from the report, but we can change that so that each session has its own unique title. The date can also be unique for the sessions. Let's go ahead and fill out our zip code, where this event was held, who our audience was. We're going to go ahead and leave it as no for whether it was delivered at a distance and whether it was a results demonstration. We're going to enter one session for our particular example. The duration of that session was 2.5 hours. The total number of contacts for the session was 25. Notice in the middle, it's calculating for us, so you can double check to make sure that that's calculating the way you expected it to. We're going to put in our ethnicities. Notice the fields are red until we meet the mark of 25 that we put in. Same for our age groups and our gender groups. Once the fields are all in black, we can continue to the next part of session data. Was it a group or one-to-one? Ours happened to be a group event. If you're not sure how to use that, maybe you worked a booth, use your tooltips again to know that you're entering the right information. We're going to choose group. Who led this? In this case, our example is faculty. Faculty and volunteers may be an option for you. If you need to tag another AgriLife person that helped you with the event, you would do so here. You type in the name and the list will show. You can put in a little narrative telling specifically what your part involvement was in the event, if there were others that helped. And then at the bottom, if the event was tied to Healthy South Texas or the BLT program, you could say yes, and some additional fields will appear. In our examples, we're going to say no. And say Next. On this screen, we're going to say whether or not we did all the teaching, we helped with the teaching, or we didn't teach at all. We put the event together and we invited other speakers. In our example, we're going to say we spoke at this event. And we're going to submit the session data. Then it's going to ask us if we want to upload files for this session. Saying yes allows you to upload items such as the agenda and the roster and minutes if it's that type of report. You browse out to your drive, you look for the file that you want, and you say open. In this case, we're not going to attach any files. The typical files are PDF, Excel, JPEG, TIFF, normal types of files. Moving to volunteers and collaborators. If you say yes, it opens those fields. You can list how many volunteers there were, how many hours they contributed, and who your collaborators or partners were. Was the event marketed? You're going to list your primary marketing event from the drop-down. And then you're going to give details on how you marketed that and what other options you may have used, avenues you may have used for marketing. You're going to say next. Again, if you say yes here on educational resources, these are counted as indirect contacts, by the way, you're going to list the kind of resources that you had at your event. So in our case, we had a fact sheet. So you're going to describe that. And you're going to say how many you distributed. We gave one to everybody at our event. And we also had a book from the AgriLife bookstore. So we're going to list that, and it's a good idea if you're using the bookstore materials to include the number of the publication. And again, we gave one to all of our participants. We're going to say next. If we received any money for our event from sponsors or other resources, so sponsorships or donations, and we're going to say yes, we got some money. You just list who gave it to you and what the dollar value was. We had somebody else give us money. In this case, it was a in-kind donation. And again, you list the person that donated or the business that donated and the estimated value. We're going to say next. And this brings us to the event valuation. If the event was evaluated, and we know not all events are evaluated, you're going to select the type of evaluation. We list several here. You're going to list the primary evaluation method. And again, there are several, because we know they're not all going to be, scanned evaluations. And then we are going to list how we evaluated, what methods we used to evaluate this event. We're going to back up a little bit and notice that there's a drop down for the evaluation strategy. In our example, we're going to use pre and post. So we're going to outline how we're going to do that. And this is very brief. We want you to be a little more specific. And then in the results area, we know you don't get those results back right away. You can go ahead and save the report without those results. And there's a way to come back and add them later, even after the report is submitted. So we're going to say next. This brings us to the report notes area. It is required. This is where you outline how this report and the events that took place in this report align with your plan. Is it going the way you think it should? Are there changes you feel you see down the road for this? Those types of things go in this report as opposed to the reports or the narratives on the individual events. This is an overall reaching, how does it fit with my plan type of report. and we're going to say next. The final part is you're certifying whether the report is ready to be submitted. If you're not quite ready, you can hit Save Report. It saves the report. If you're ready, you can mark I certify and submit report. We're going to certify and submit ours. Once it's saved, you'll see it's moved from the unreported tasks section, it's no longer listed, to the submitted reports section. Let's touch on reporting to an unplanned task, which takes both steps of creating the task and the report and combines them into one. You're first going to select the plan the task is going to be on, and then go through the same steps of adding a task title, a type, a date, and then the lead on the task. This is particularly useful for specialists who often go to events that weren't planned very far in advance. After you add the task, it automatically takes you to the report. It's going to ask you if the event occurred, and you're going to say yes and continue through the reports as normal. And that's how you add reports in TexasData.